Hi everyone, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we're taking a look at the introduction to Country Boy by Albert Lee. So recently, my good friend Warren Hewitt over at Produce Like a Pro asked me to take part in a video about the Fender Telecaster. And one of the examples that we looked at in that video was the introduction to Country Boy. Now, I haven't looked at any country here on the Six String Alliance channel. I do like to play some country stuff. I've done a little bit of country in a Mesa Boogie video, but it's one of those things that I sort of like to mess around with on my own and never really feel that confident about putting it out there. I'm not a country guitar player, but I spend quite a lot of time working on this. And whilst there is obviously room for improvement, like anything that we do on the guitar, I thought it was kind of interesting from the angle of a rock guitar player playing something a little bit different. And it really inspired me that maybe it would have the same effect on you guys, and it's something a little bit different to play. So we are going to be looking at the introduction to that iconic track. Now, when Warren asked me to take a look at this introduction, I did have vague memories of teaching it. It was the little hybrid picking chord part was part of the ACM syllabus when I used to work there, 20 odd years ago. But I'd never really practiced it up to speed, and I certainly hadn't looked at any of the licks that followed it. So it was a real eye-opener for me to dig into this. Now, I have had the pleasure of watching Albert Lee play this live several times. I've had the opportunity to do some guitar clinics with him through my involvement with Music Man. But again, I've never really taken the time to sort of dig deep into this. So it's been a real learning curve for me. One of the things that I struggle with my playing, which I've spoken about before on the channel, is my picking hand. I've always been more of a left-hand player. So it really pushed me with the picking and also the hybrid picking. Again, there's certain things I like to do, the sort of Richie Kotzen, Greg Howell barring technique with the hybrid picking, but I've never done the hybrid picking to the kind of level and speed that I've required to do it for the for Country Boy. So hopefully you'll find this inspiring. It's really pushed me, and I wanted to share my experiences with you as well as talk about this iconic piece of country guitar. Before we get into the lesson, let's just talk a little bit about the track itself. I saw some conflicting information online, so I thought, go directly to the source. And a good friend of mine is Wayne Lee, who is Albert's son. I've known Wayne for probably 30 years. He used to work in a music store in South London that I used to go into. And subsequently, he ended up working for Ernie Ball Music Man's UK distributor, Strings and Things. So I've had a long relationship with Wayne. So I reached out to him and told him what I was attempting to do and asked him for some accurate background about the track. Now, Albert Lee wrote the track way back when he was in Heads, Hands and Feet with Ray Smith and Tony Colton, and it appears on a Heads, Hands and Feet album. Albert Lee also performed the track when he was playing with Emmylou Harris, and Ricky Skaggs was in the band, and he also recorded a version of it. Now, Albert re-recorded the track for his 1979 solo album, Hiding, but it also reappears on the album Tearing It Up, where it was re-recorded again. Hiding, unfortunately, isn't on Apple Music, so I found a version of Country Boy, which was from Tearing It Up, and was like, hang on a minute, that's different. So I wrote to Wayne again and said, has this been re-recorded? And he was like, yes. I said, I thought so, because the hybrid picking figure at the beginning was slightly different, to which he said, well, my dad never actually plays it the same way twice. Now, if you watch that old Hot Licks video, which is on YouTube, Albert himself explains that he's got these 3 remaining fingers, and he just, whichever finger sort of comes into play, he doesn't really have a set way of playing that introduction. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about equipment. Albert Lee obviously plays the Albert Lee signature Music Man guitar. I've got a couple of those, and I did think about using one of those guitars for my version of this lesson. Obviously, as I said, we were looking at the Telecaster in Warren's video where I performed the piece. But then I thought, well, hold on, the original was recorded on a telly, probably a telly from a similar era as the one that I'm playing here. So I decided to stick with my Telecaster, also to mix up guitars of choice. This guitar doesn't get many outings on my videos. So the telly that I'm playing, this is a Telecaster from 1960. This is one of my most prized possessions that I own. I bought it many years ago. Probably about 20 years ago, actually. I bought this guitar when I was playing a lot in America. This is obviously a pre-CBS from 1960. I do have the ashtray cover for it. It's got a fantastic sounding bridge pickup, and it's a really great feeling and great sounding guitar. Even acoustically, it really resonates. So we're using the Telecaster. I'm running into an SP compressor, an exotic SP compressor. And then I'm going direct into my UAD, and I'm using Amplitude 5, IK Multimedia Amplitude 5, and I'm using the Fender package, and I'm just using a Fender Twin. Now, Albert himself also uses Fender amps, but he also uses Music Man amps. There was a period in his career where he was using the Music Man amps. And in terms of effects, I watched a video recently where he was using a Korg multi-effects unit for some compression and the delay and a little bit of chorusing effects. But his effects are fairly sparse. And I think basically to achieve the tone, just get a nice clean tone and maybe use some compression just to sort of even things out. Okay, so let's dive now into the lesson. And as I said, this has been incredibly challenging for me. I've had to overcome some technical obstacles. And believe me, I have spent a lot of time working on this. And I probably could have done more practice to get it a little bit faster and a little bit cleaner. There was a couple of points on the performance that I did, albeit it's unaccompanied, so it's very exposed, that I listened to. And I'm like, the timing, I was pushing it a little bit there, struggling with keeping the speed up. That's the thing. It's like a roller coaster, these just constant flurries of notes. Now, the introduction is based around G major. And we are playing licks based around the major and the minor pentatonics, mixing those tonalities up. Now, the introduction kicks off with that sort of banjo inspired lick, which is based around a G5 power chord. Now, as I said before, Albert said in the REH video that he uses 3 fingers and he just basically reaches for a string with whatever finger is free. And he said in the video that a lot of people thought that he used a thumb pick and finger picks, but he opts to use the hybrid picking technique. Now, for this, I'm not very good generally, but I was unable really to get my little finger working that successfully. I normally, when I'm hybrid picking, use the second and third fingers. So I just had to work a little bit more on those to be able to get that introduction up to speed and get it clean and relaxed. So let's take a look at that opening hybrid picked chord, that sort of banjo inspired section. You're going to start off by picking 4 on the D and hammering to 5 on the D. Then play the open G. And remember, you're assigning your second finger to that string. Remember, that's I would stick with that rule. Pick on the D string, second finger on the G, third finger on the B. So you're going, okay, and then we're going to play the B string, the G, the D, the G, and then the D. Okay, put that together. Okay, then we're going to play the B, G, and D. And then we finish off by playing the B string. And this time we break the rule and we play the open G with the pick. Now, I've got that approach from watching Albert on the REH video. He always plays that final note with the pick for some reason. You don't have to do that. You can use your second finger, but I just try to adopt as close a rendition of Albert's technique. So one more time. I forgot to mention this at the front end of the video, actually. Don't forget to click the link in the description where you can download the free tab, and that will probably make it a little bit easier for you to follow what I'm doing. So one more time. Okay, then we go around again. So you're hammering that 4 to 5, then the open G to the D string, and then we come down B, G, and D. Then we have an open B. Okay, so that's where you change position. So let's just put that whole front end of the G5 chord together. Following on from the chord figure, we then play the 3rd fret of the A. Now, on the original recording, there seems to be another open B, like so. So he's filling in the gaps with another open B. I found that quite hard, and I kind of just let what ever note sort of filled in the gap. So even an open A would work, but it's just to maintain the rhythm. So like so. So I think I put an open A in on the performance that I did, but on the transcription I've showed an open B. But again, it's just a note that's filling in the gap, so don't really worry too much about that. So you play that 3rd fret of the A, whether you play the open B, which I've written, or if you go for the easier option of pulling your finger away to the open A, and then first the 2nd fret on the A string, and then the 3rd fret E, followed by a G chord. So let's just put all of that together nice and slowly. Okay, pick the tempo up a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at the next lick. We're playing the open A to 1st fret to 2nd fret. Now, I use my second finger to play the G string here. Again, I'm not too sure of what way Albert is doing it, but as I said, I don't really think there's too many rules judging by what he says on that old instructional REH. He kind of just uses the pick or the fingers, whatever he finds easiest and closest to the string in question. So we play the open A to 1st fret to 2nd fret, open G, and then 2nd fret D, pulling off to open. So you'll come out of okay, on to the next lick. I love this lick. This is where you get some of that sort of tension and release we associate with country guitar with close intervals. So you're going to play the 1st fret B to the 3rd fret G, so C to B flat. So that's very much in G minor pentatonic. And then you have the open B. So you get that B flat and B natural in close proximity of each other. So you get that sort of very dissonant sort of sound. Okay, then open D. Hammer onto the 2nd fret, open G. Then we have a pull off from 3 to 2 to open on the G. Okay. 2nd fret D. 2nd fret G. 2nd fret D. Open G. And then with your 2nd finger, slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret of the G. 3rd fret B. Pull off 5th fret. Pull off from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret, sorry, and then strike the 5th fret and slide up to the 8th, and then slide away. So that second section slowly. Okay, let's put those two parts together, which completes the first half of the intro. Here we go. fiddly part to play, especially trying to get that picking pattern, that hybrid picking pattern. Really spend time getting the independence between your fingers. Don't rush it. It's taken me so long to get that down. I spent ages just with the metronome, just gradually building the speed up. So again, I probably could have got it better, and it's now become my mission that I want to learn the entire piece. I found this really inspiring. Okay, now we're on to the second half, and this is where we have these very fast bluegrass style licks. We start off by sliding from 3 up to 5 on the B, and then we play B, open B to open E. Then we play the 3rd fret B, followed by 2 picks on the open B. So you get... And then we pull off 3 to 2 on the G, re-pick the 2nd fret G, play the open B, open G, and then 2 picks on the open G. So you get this. Then we're going to play the open D, hammer onto the 2nd fret, re-pick the 2nd fret, open G, then the open D, back to the open G. So that lick sounds like this. Okay, put that together with the first portion. Okay, now we're going to pull off 3, 2 open on the G. Okay, so that's 3, 2 open on the G, 2, 2 open 2 on the D, open G to open D. So put that together. And then we're going... There we're pulling off 3, 2 open on the G, 2 open on the D, 1st fret to open on the A, and then we're into a G major chord. Now, for the G major chord, I wrote out what you can hear on Hiding, which is just a couple of strums, but when I played it, I think I filled it out a little bit more with some extra strums. So we're going like this. Okay, and finally we play the open A to the 1st fret to the 2nd fret, open D, 2nd fret D to open, slide from the 3rd fret up to the 5th fret of the D, open G twice, pull off 3 to 2 on the D, and play the 2 again, open G, and then open D, followed by open D to open G. And then first fret A to open, and then just landing on that root note, and you can conclude with a chord. So that final section. Now, the difficult thing I found with this is the speed of those picked parts. You know, that... Okay, so let's just play that second half of the introduction through at a slow tempo. Here we go. Now, I found that section really demanding. As I said, I'm not a strong alternate picker. Alternate picking is one of my Achilles heels, and as much as I work on it, I don't know whether it's a block between here and here. I do suffer with tension. It takes me a while to sort of loosen up and relax. But trying to get those melodies with that consistent rhythm and those sort of open strings filling in between, it's incredibly difficult to maintain the stamina. And another thing as well is it's clean. There's no distortion or overdrive for you to hide behind. So trying to get that... Now getting those fast... really complex to play, and they make for some great picking workouts because it's not the usual kind of linear sort of scale exercises and things that we play as rock guitar players. So this has really pushed me to work on my picking as well as work on my hybrid picking. And as well as that, it's just a great sounding piece of guitar. So let's just wrap things up by playing through the intro at a slow tempo. 2, 3, 4. A really challenging piece of guitar for you to work on, and it sounds great. And for me, it was just a break from playing the normal things that I play, being put into a situation where I've got to learn something that I've not played properly in many years. And even when I did it years ago, I didn't really practice it to this level, and it's really inspired me. So just really take care with each section, pay attention to the order of the fingers with the hybrid picking, and try and stay as relaxed as possible with your picking hand. Really try to keep the rhythm flowing. And I would break it down into small sections when you're practicing it, and make sure that you practice it always in time, even if it's at a slower tempo. Don't rush sections and then slow right down for the sections that you find hard. Just practice it at a consistent tempo and gradually work up to speed. Okay, that's it from me. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Something a little bit different from me. Really putting myself out there, showing my vulnerable side, playing some clean country, but a really inspiring piece of guitar. Make sure you check out the Heads, Hands and Feet version that's on YouTube. It's absolutely incredible. Don't forget to click the link in the description to download the free tab. And if you don't already, please subscribe. That's it from me. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.